I'm at Rose Park in Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm about a 10-minute drive east of the International Airport. And Rose Park is a fairly big park, albeit a bit unremarkable. It has a tennis court, a cricket court, skate park, baseball fields. What park would be complete without a playground? Rose Park is not particular in many regards. It's 22¼ acres of mostly open field with dead or dying grass, just like the rest of Utah. The park, however, is hiding a dangerous secret. From the 1930s until 1957, this was all owned by Utah Oil and Refining Company. So starting all the way back in 1909, Utah Oil and Refining Company, or Utah Oil, was the first ever commercially successful petroleum company in the state of Utah. They were huge. They were so huge, in fact, that some would call it a monopoly. In the 1920s, Utah Oil owned roughly 75% of all oil that was refined or drilled in Utah. During the 1950s, this percentage would increase to 100%, and if that's not a monopoly, I don't know what is. Utah Oil was so big, in fact, that they started piping oil from Colorado and Wyoming and refining it just a mile away. And all this refining and drilling created a lot of waste, a lot of hazardous waste, which brings me here. 31,747,500 gallons worth of acidic tar-like waste lay underneath my feet right now. It's so ridiculous how long this site took. So in 1957, Salt Lake City acquired the land, and it took them from 1957 until 1979 to finally have the site assessed. The EPA came in, and they're like, oh yeah, no, this is a Superfund site, cool. After a couple more years of planning, the Army Corps of Engineers finally came in 1981 and built a slurry wall to prevent groundwater contamination. In 1982, the EPA installed a clay cap on top of the sludge pit and installed monitoring wells around. In 1992, they finally built the park. In 2003, it was delisted from the National Priorities List, which means it's no longer a Superfund site, but every 5 years they do routine tests to make sure that the sludge pit is not leaking, it's contained, and that the groundwater remains uncontaminated. And the last test was done as of the making of this video was 2022. Although there is hazardous sludge below my feet, the air is relatively clear, the ground is solid, and the water is clear to drink. I don't know if I'm going to be drinking that though. I wouldn't.
So like, just keep that tone, you know, you're explaining it to someone who just doesn't get it.
I'll just talk to Lucy.
Yeah, that would not actually be a bad thing. Like, yeah.